if you can do these 5 questions, then you should be ready for Year 12 Maths. I'm going to explain exactly where they come up so you know that I'm not lying to you. If you want, you can pause the video as the questions come up so that way you can attempt them yourselves. But let's just get started. So the first one is rearranging to make something the subject. Comes up all the time. The number of questions in Year 12 and Year 13 Maths that show that this can be written as this, so rearranging things, happens all of the time. So we need to be really good at it. So the first thing you need to do is you need to get rid of this cube root. And to do that, we're going to cube both sides. So it means the left side becomes w cubed and the right side just becomes 5y take away 8. Again, remember the reason we're doing this is when we make y the subject, or it could be any letter, we want y to be by itself. So the first thing is the cube root. Now what's with the y? Well, there's a 5 and there's a negative 8. Get rid of what's not attached first. So what's the opposite of taking away 8? We're going to add 8 to both sides. So we get w cubed plus 8 equals 5y. And then, well, what's the only thing left is the 5. So how do we get rid of it? We're going to divide both sides by 5. So we get w cubed plus 8 all over 5 is equal to y for the final answer. Hopefully that wasn't too bad. Nice little starter for us. The next one is indices. Again, anyone that's in Year 12 or 13 will tell you that indices are, you sometimes don't even get marks for it, but it's part of the question. So they just expect you to be able to do it. So being really good at these index laws for differentiation, integration, for the logarithms chapter, for the indices chapter that they have is really, really important. So they're telling us that we can basically simplify this whole thing so that way it's not a fraction anymore, is essentially what they're telling us. And they say find out a and b. Now there's a few really good ways to do this. So for example, one thing I could do is I could times the top and bottom by square root x, which means I can cancel out x really easily. But I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to show you the way that we normally do it. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to write the thing out again, but I'm going to change the square root x into index notation. Now, a square root means you're going to have x to the power of a half. If, as a quick reminder, if you have cube root, that would be x to the third. And if you have the fourth root, all of which you do see in A-level maths, so just to kind of make you aware, it's quarters. So that denominator tells you which root you're taking. The numerator tells you which power you're taking. Cool. Now what do? Well, what we can do is we can actually split this up. So I'm going to split this up into 4x cubed. This is a step you can skip once you get a lot more comfortable, by the way. But I'm just going to show you just so you can kind of really understand the maths behind it, because that'd be very important for A-level. And now what happens when you divide two things with a power? You subtract their powers. So this first thing here where it says 4x cubed over x to the half, that's going to be 4x, which makes sense because remember in our answer, it's 4x to the a, to the power of 3 minus a half. So 3 minus 0.5 is 2.5, which is the same as 5 over 2. Cool. Then we're going to have plus, it's going to be x to the power of something. It's 5 over 2 minus 1 over 2. Well, that's 2.5 minus 0.5, which is just 2. So a in this case is 5 over 2, and b is just 2. Not bad. Now again, that's something you'll have to do in like 30 seconds. They might not even give you a mark for it, but you're still expected to do it. So it's something you have to be very, very fluent in, which is what this whole thing's about. Rationalizing is a lot of fun. The rationalizing they give you in A-level is rationalizing that you can't actually do on a calculator. So if I were to type some of the questions in A-level into a calculator, it just gives me a decimal, which is of course not correct. Now, what's the first step? Well, step one always is you try and simplify if you can, because that keeps the numbers nice and small. So in this case, I'm looking, well, the 20 obviously can't change, but the square root of 50, I can break that up. Remember, when you simplify surds, you want two numbers. Ideally, one should be a square number. Now, if you can't find a square number, just break it up into two numbers and keep breaking up again and again and again, and eventually you get a square number. That's fine. But square root of 50, I already know that I can do square root 25 and square root 2. And the bottom, well, that doesn't really change. So I'm going to simplify this. We've got 20 minus square root of 25 is 5. So 20 minus 5 root 2 all over 3 root 2 minus 5. Now, how do you actually rationalize? Well, rationalizing means you want to get rid of the surd, so the square root in the denominator. And the best way to do that, if there's two terms in the denominator, is to times by the exact same thing. However, you change the sign So from a minus to a plus or a plus to a minus. Now when I say change the sign, I do mean the sign in the middle. It's not changing the sign of, so it wouldn't be minus 3 root 2 minus 5. It's just the sign in the middle, and you times the top and the bottom by that. And then all this is basically is just expanding double brackets, because we can put the brackets like this and we can work it out. So the first thing we have is we have 20 times 3 root 2, which is of course 60 root 2. And in fact, let's scroll down a little bit. So we have 60 root 2. Then we have 20 times 5, which is of course 100. Then we have minus 5 root 2 times 3 root 2, so that's going to be minus 15. Now root 2 times root 2 should just give me 2. Now sometimes I write this as square root 4 just to make it a bit easier for some people to understand, but I don't know, it's kind of up to you guys what you want to do. I'm going to probably leave it as just 2. Okay, so we've got a bit more space now, and then we have minus 5 root 2 times 5, so it's going to be minus 25 square root 2, and don't forget the times 2 from back here. Cool, and then we're going to have the fraction, and we're going to do the same thing. Now, if you're really good at rationalizing, you'll know that the denominator is actually really easy to do, but I'm going to do it fully. Hopefully you spot the little shortcut. We have 3 root 2 times 3 root 2, so it's going to be 9 times 2, because of the root 2 times root 2. 3 root 2 times 5, which is going to give me plus 15 root 2. Then minus 5 times 3 root 2, which gives me minus 15 root 2. This should always happen, by the way. Minus 5 times 5 is minus 25. So now what we can do is we can just simplify all of this. So we have 60 root 2 minus 25 root 2. So that should give me 35 root 2. 60 minus 25? Yeah, cool. Then we have 100 minus 15 times 2. Well, 15 times 2 is 30. 100 minus 30 is 70. And then in the bottom, obviously, the square root 2's will cancel because that's the whole point. Remember, we're supposed to be getting rid of the surd in the denominator. Then we have 18 minus 25, which is minus 7. And what we can do, does it actually give it, did it say give it into a specific form? I can't remember. Yes, so where we have to simplify this, we're going to divide the top and bottom by minus 7. We do have to do it by minus 7 because, remember, in the answer there was no denominator. And so it can't be over minus 1. So we have 35 divided by minus 7. Well, again, because they're different signs, it should be a negative. Then 35 divided by 7 is 5. Then 70 divided by minus 7, again, different signs, and that'd be 10. And technically, it should be minus 10 minus 5 square root 2 as your final answer for that one. Cool. Let's move on to the next one. So next we have completing the square. Once again, if you speak to anyone that's done A-level maths, completing the square is something that you do 1,000 times in year 12 and in year 13 as well. So, because we use it to find turning points and maximums and minimums, we use it in modelling, we use it all the time. So, how do you do it though when there is a coefficient in front of x squared? Well, here's the way I do it. Now, some people factorise 3 out of everything. I don't. Remember, completing the square, you actually only care about the first 2 terms. You don't care about the 63 on the end. That can just stay there until the very end. So I factorise only out of the first 2 terms. So we have 3 x squared minus 10x, and then I like to put the plus 63 like a little to the side. And now all I'm doing is I'm doing completing the square just on the stuff inside the bracket. So we're going to have 3. We're going to use big brackets now because we're going to do completing the square. If you remember completing the square, you have to half the number in front of x, which is minus 10. So we have x minus 5 squared minus 5 squared, and then plus 63. So then we have 3 x minus 5 squared. Now minus 5 squared, well, minus 5 squared is positive 25, but the minus makes it a negative again. Remember, that should always be negative. There's never a time when it's not. Expanding this, we get 3 x minus 5 squared minus 75, because it's 3 times negative 25, plus 63. And then we can just work that out and we should be done. But again, hopefully you can see why that might be slightly easier than factorising out of the whole thing, especially because, and I don't understand why people do this, but people do this even when this number on the end can't be divided by the number in front of 3. So in this case, I can divide 63 by 3, it's not that big of a deal. But imagine if that number was 10. And now I have 10 over 3, and then I'm adding it to, minus 75, and it's like, you get the same answer, but you're more prone to error. So I would just make everything easier. And lastly, functions. I've already done functions quite a few times in the baseline assessment, for example, which again will be linked in the description. But with this, you have to be really careful. So the order in which we substitute functions in matters, and functions make a big part. So it's in year 12 and year 13 maths as specific topics. So be really, really careful. When we have fg of x, that means subbing g into f. So what does that mean? Well, I'm going to write out function f, but I'm going to put brackets where the x is. Now I'm going to sub in g, which is all of this, into here, because that's what it's saying, right? It's saying take g of x, sub it into f. So we have x minus 9. And that equals. Now let's get rid of this quickly. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. In fact, I'll do it in red. So g f of x, I'm going to write out g, but instead of an x, I'm just going to put a bracket. So that's just going to be x, and then minus 9. And again, we're going to take all of f and shove it into there. Now it's just a case of expanding, simplifying, and then it's a quadratic, right? So it should be nice and easy. Expanding this, so we have x squared. We're going to have minus 9x, so that's going to be minus 18x. Minus 9 times minus 9 is 81, plus 4. On this side, it's even easier. It's just x squared. Then 4 minus 9, which is minus 5. So if I move everything over to the left side, so I want a minus x squared from both sides. If I do that, those x squareds go away. And then I want a plus 5 to both sides as well. So we have minus 18x. 81 plus 4 is 85. Plus another 5 will give me 90. So that's 90 equals 18x. Pretty sure that's 5. So x equals 5. That's it. So once again, if you found this useful or interesting, then obviously stick around. But also in the description, there's going to be a free diagnostic test where you can also book a 15 minutes results call with me, where you can just check, we can explain to you what you need to do before year 12 starts, what you can do in year 12, and it'll be very, very useful for you, hopefully. So again, do consider looking in the description for that, but I'll see you in the next one.